What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and in this one, we go over Kyle Whittingham, Michigan football hiring a top all-field staffer that seems to be a home run hire and one that should help Michigan recruiting tremendously, as it is just yet another great home run hire by Kyle Whittingham and company. We also go over Jim Harding as he spoke on the Michigan offensive line, why he's been impressed with them early on, and then also he talked about establishing the starting five and developing the nastiness on the offensive line. And we also wrap up the
Love to
video
hear it.
talking about some recruiting news on a top safety Michigan is prioritizing and running back recruiting, as a target has locked in multiple visits. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it.
All
Alright,
right.
so Michigan football, Kyle Whittingham adding to an already impressive staff, and he adds on another top off-field staffer as Michigan is hiring Skylar Fan to the football front office, according to Steve Wiltfong of Rivals, and she'll be leaving USC and also had previous stops at also Texas, North Texas, and she was interned with the Las Vegas Raiders, so already has lots of experience. And per Steve Wiltfong, she is well respected in the space and was vital in USC signing
Okay.
the #1 ranked recruiting class in the 2026 class, and the roles she is expected to fill here at Michigan will include overseeing all official and unofficial visits, providing individual recruiting
Hey, love to
strategies, and
hear it.
building relationships with top targets
Bro,
and
why
their
they showing, bro?
families.
What? Come
And
on,
one
bro.
source said that she is an up-and-coming superstar in the landscape. So it seems like Michigan, Kyle Whittingham with a home run hire
Okay,
here.
they
And
got them
also,
one.
according to Bryce Marriage of the Michigan Insider, he heard from an agent who does work with many top high school football players every year. And he said that Michigan hit a home run with hiring Skylar Fan, a true professional, and did a great job at USC and was vital, again, helping them with their recruiting class, their top ranked recruiting class in the 2026 class. Let me know what you guys think about that. And obviously, Whittingham has had to make a lot of coaching staff changes, but he's done a great job. He has leaned on, building a staff of people.
Well, he did build his staff, right? He hired a lot of BYU and Utah coaches. Now, he hired a lot of those coaches because he's kind of familiar with the coaches, so obviously he hired them. But the only reason I think he's going to build a great O line because he had he had Caleb Lamu and Spencer Fanu as the two tackles, and they should have had a better season than what they had at Utah, just based off having those two tackles, having that kind of O line. So I can only imagine what the fuck he's about to do building the O line. So he said he want to build the nastiness with the O line. So I think Michigan is still going to be that running team, but I also think when you have a quarterback like Bryce, you know what I'm saying? You got to throw that ball, man. You got to throw the ball. You got to give him running, some running plays, and see what they do, man.
He knows, and then also retained some and has brought in some new faces. And he also had to even hire a new general manager out of Dave Peliquin, a longtime Notre Dame staffer
He
and
hired.
former athlete's first GM. And he is
Wait, hold on. The head coach of the football team hired the GM. What the fuck? That don't even sound right. All right, bro. Let's keep going.
seen as one of the best in the industry. So he's been making some great hires, some
Let's keep
great
going,
home
bro.
run hires here at Michigan. And Skylar Fan is another one, it seems like, as he continues to make his mark here at Michigan. Looking to do some special things here. He didn't come here just to come here. He came here to Michigan to go and win a national championship. He saw the
Love to hear it.
opportunity, and there's a reason he couldn't pass this job up. I mean, some of the, hires he's made, like Doug Elisaya, the new strength and conditioning coach, nothing but positives from the strength and
Yeah.
conditioning program. And then also, hiring defensive line coaches Lewis Powell, Larry Black, which was a big addition after losing Lou Esposito. He's brought in some younger coaches and coaches who should hit the recruiting trail hard. And also, coaches like Micah Simon, wide receivers coach, who is a young up and coming coach. And then you got defensive coordinator Jay Hill and offensive coordinator Jason Beck, which were great additions, especially Jason Beck,
Great,
who should really get
really
the
great.
best out of Bryce Underwood and this talented Michigan offense. So it's been a great start, I think.
Cause I think Kyle Whittingham, he was on a podcast about a month ago, month or two ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but he said, "Yeah, we're just, we got to build a staff." And he was saying like Bryce need to have a quarterback coach because I've heard that he didn't have a quarterback coach. What? You tell me he didn't have a quarterback coach this whole time? So who the fuck was he talking to? Sharon Moore? Sharon Moore and his white woman? The fuck is what he doing? No, you tell me this whole fucking time, his freshman year, he was just talking to the white woman and Sharon Moore. That's all he was talking to. This man Sharon Moore is talking to OnlyFans models, not even taking a fucking he ain't taking the season seriously. Bro. So I'm glad that we hired Kyle Whittingham. We hired a coach that's actually going to do his fucking job. He actually gave Bryce a coach that he could talk to, which is kind of crazy because he should already have one. But yeah, man, I'm glad, bro. He hired a great staff. Let's see how it go.
Again,
I
he's
hope it
put
go
together a
good.
great coaching staff. We obviously have to wait and see how it all plays out and how this team
Most
looks,
def,
but so far so
most
good.
definitely.
And we will get our first chance to see him April 18th for the spring game.
And I will be
Spring
at that game.
ball does begin March 17th for the Wolverines. And another great coach he brought in was the offensive line coach Jim Harding, who was one of the best. His first job, obviously, at Michigan was to retain players, and also got Andrew Sprague and Jake Guarnera to come back out of the portal and remain at
Which is
Michigan.
nice.
Michigan will have 3 returning starters from last season out of Jake Guarnera, Andrew Sprague, Blake Frazier, and also Evan Link, who obviously did get
Yeah.
injured though. And Harding was on In the Trenches podcast with host John Jansen, and he spoke on the offensive lineman and what he's seen so far. He said high care factor, smart, intelligent, ask good questions in the meetings. They said they always want to do extra drill work and things like that. Sometimes you need to give your body a rest, but I'd rather have kids like that rather than dragging them to get extra work. But he said he's been very impressed with the group. Things that you can't measure right now are our physicality, our toughness, things like that. That's kind of the next step once we get pads on, who are kind of the alpha dogs in the room that are going to kind of set the tone for the unit and then obviously the offense. But he said he's been really pleased with what he's seen so far, and he's also now trying to prioritize the chemistry. The chemistry should be at a high level given the fact many offensive linemen are returning from Michigan. So, he's continuing to get to know them. But he said they went out to dinner a couple weeks ago just to see them outside of the facility, and will continue
Yeah,
to
you
do
gotta take the
things
whole
like
lineman to
that.
get something
And
to eat, man.
also, he said, as much as I critique those guys, I think it's important to get feedback for me as well. So I asked Blake, Andrew, Jake, hey, give me some pros and cons of what you like through 7 weeks of how I run meetings, individual, etc. And all 3 of them touched upon the importance of making sure that we do things outside of the facility, kind of just talk about life and things like that in the meetings. He said, still get work done, but it kind of reminded me that I need to make.
See, this is what I like, man. This is what I like, bro. I love the fact that, it seemed like they brung in, not seemed like they did. They brung in a professional staff. They're being professional, which is kind of crazy to say. It's kind of crazy to say that they brung in a professional staff, which they should already be professional, but it shows that they care. They're coming in and it shows that they care, and you love to see that. You didn't really hear that from the other staff, because damn near, I mean, if we being honest, John Harbaugh took damn near half of the staff with him to the damn Chargers, and you know how that went. So he damn near took half of the staff with him and players because players went in the draft too. So it's nice to see that Kyle Winningham is building a staff. He's retaining players back. He's doing all this good stuff. And I just hope that we have a good season. I really do. Hopefully we can whoop Ohio State ass. You know, we always want to do that. Hopefully we can whoop other teams' ass too, but it's gonna be a tough schedule, bro. It is gonna be a tough schedule because I did see it, and I'm gonna be going to some of those games, and I just can't wait to see how them boys are gonna play, man.
Make sure that we do that camaraderie piece as well. We'll keep building on that, but it's a good point that I probably could have done a little bit earlier, but I just started this week. And then he said, on the starting offensive line, I'd like to establish the starting five where you feel good that when you go into fall camp, those are the guys that are working together immediately from day one. But he said we do have a couple guys out that may factor into that starting five. We do play 6 linemen quite a bit, so we call that guy the Rhino. You're looking for, one or two of those guys, but he said really try to establish the top five, get the Rhino established, the center depth, and then just having that physicality and nastiness of the offensive line, just kind of
That's what I
develop
love to
that,
hear.
as that's what Jim
That's what I
Harden
love to
had to
hear.
say on the offensive line on In the Trenches podcast, as the offensive line had their ups and downs last season. Obviously, at times, wasn't good enough, especially for a true freshman quarterback out there. But next season, they're really looking to take it up a notch with new offensive line coach Jim Harding. And then to wrap up this video, I wanted to go over some recruiting news here on the 2027 four-star safety Daryl Madison from Chicago, Illinois, goes to Morgan Park High School, ranked 243rd nationally on 24/7 Sports rankings. Michigan recently offered him. Safeties coach Tyler Stockton leading the charge in his recruitment, and according to Ethan McDowell of On3 and the Wolverine, and he said he
Ooh,
came and talked to my mom and everybody, and he kept it
okay.
straight up with me. He was like, "You've got to do this and that, and we're treating you like a priority." He said they're talking to me
That
every
was a
other day,
dog
just
ass
seeing
catch
what's
with the
up, what's
first
going
one.
on, just building that relationship, and that's very important. And he could tell that Michigan's making him a priority. He said that's what really sparked my interest. But he said they're definitely in my top for real. They're definitely in there. And he said he told Coach Witt that, I said Michigan is always going to be good because it's Michigan. I'll always be interested, but they're
Hey,
showing
I like how
interest
he
back
play.
into me. So that's why I'm really pouring into them. And also wanted to talk about 2027 four-star running back Noah Roberts, as he will be officially visiting Michigan June 18th per Blue and Gold's Kyle Kelly. And he also spend April 6th with the Wolverines for a spring visit. Recently told rivals Greg Biggins that I like Michigan and the new staff a lot. They're a run-heavy team. I watched them at Utah. They always had a great running game, and I can see them bring that over to Michigan, as he has locked in an official visit with Michigan, although he does plan on making a
That man
spring
is taking the
decision
fuck
after his unofficial
off.
visit, so there is a chance most of his official visits don't happen, but he has set 2
RPO?
visits to Michigan, a spring and an official visit, and is
Yeah,
just
he's
one of
quick,
multiple
boy.
running backs that Tony Elford is pursuing right now. Talked about Jashawn Gibson, also TJ Lewis, who has recently said Michigan was his dream school growing up, and actually has said that, if he ever got a Michigan offer, he would commit on the spot, but he is clearly taking his time with his recruitment and will weigh out his options. So, Michigan going after those running backs right now in the 2027 recruiting class. But with that, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys did
Nice.
enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a
Nice. You love to hear it, man. You love to hear it. Cause bro, last year, bro, was just rough, bro. Last year was rough. I'm not gonna lie. I might not be able to look at this. I might have to turn off some ad blockers. Okay. Savion Hitler, Travis Johnson, Marky Wellbridge. I feel like some of these players was already like committed before, but sign a letter of intent. Okay. Hey, they're bringing in a lot of players, man. These are the transfer portals too. Oh my God. Look how they was in the transfer portal though. They picked up a lot of players, man. They picked up a lot of players. You love to see it. You love to see it, man. I think they're gonna have a good season though, but you just don't know because that schedule, man. That schedule, bro. We play Oklahoma again. Penn State might be. Oh, I don't know. Penn State's still gonna be a tough game. Indiana's gonna be a tough game, obviously. Oregon is gonna be a tough game. Ohio State gonna be a tough game. Honestly, really, it's gonna be Oklahoma, Penn State, Indiana. I don't think Penn State gonna be that tough though. Penn State kind of fell off a cliff last year, so I don't know how they're gonna be. But Oklahoma, that's gonna be a tough one. Indiana's gonna be a tough one. Oregon, and then obviously Ohio State's always gonna be a tough game. So realistically, maybe like 2 to 3 losses. Even though if you got 3 losses, you're probably not gonna make playoffs. But you might go to a bowl game though. But 3 losses probably not gonna get you in there. So you're definitely gonna have to beat one of those teams. Most definitely. But it's not bad though. It's not bad.